Now, a very good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today on Wednesday, the 3rd of May, for this information session on PhD opportunities in Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions funded doctoral network in Europe. And this session is specifically for researchers that are joining us from Indonesia. But of course, this program is open to applicants from all countries and of all nationalities. My name is Susanne Ransovasu. I'm regional coordinator of the EURAXESS project, and I'm joined today by three wonderful young researchers, Indonesian researchers, who will spend their time to share with us their own experience as MSCA funded PhD fellows in Europe. We have with us Innovasita Alifdini. She is currently at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. Hello, Innovasita. Thank you for joining us. We also have with us Iwan Setiawan. He is currently an MSCA PhD fellow at the University of Rennes in France. Hello, Iwan. And we are also joined from Hungary by Eristian Vibisono. He is a third-year MSCA PhD fellow in Hungary at the University of Pécs. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, I hope you get excited as I am, because I love hearing the personal accounts of researchers who have already paved the way for you, so to say. So they are already in Europe and they can give you first-hand advice on how to apply for this opportunity. Today, I will start the session. I will give you an introduction to that particular program and the basics, where you can find the opportunities and how you can apply for them. And then, of course, we will focus our attention on our three researchers, and they themselves will tell you why they think or why they have applied for this particular opportunity and how they are maximizing the benefits. Now, before we start, first of all, if you like, you can use the chat function to introduce yourself. It's always nice to see who is joining us for the session today. And secondly, we have, of course, allocated sufficient time for Q&A. So you have all the time to ask your questions and to get our three fellows to respond to you. For your questions, if you please use the Q&A button, which is at the bottom of your screen. If you write your questions in the Q&A, it's easier for me to find them. If you write them in the chat, then sometimes I may overlook them. Also, today's session is being recorded, and we will share the recording after today, plus the presentation slides. So if you allow me, I will start sharing my screen so we can get this session on the road. So as you can see, of course, as I said, it's all about MSCA doctoral networks and the opportunities for applicants from Indonesia or anywhere else in ASEAN or in the world to do a fully funded PhD in Europe. And I first want to talk to you about the project that I'm working for, because I do think this is a fantastic resource tool if you're interested to find out a little bit about the opportunities that Europe offers you. Now, what is EURAXESS? EURAXESS is a global network of researchers, innovators, and entrepreneurs for researchers, innovators, and entrepreneurs. So it is a network that is managed by the European Commission, but the project consists of 43 European countries and 9 worldwide hubs who are basically pooling their resources and their information to provide researchers like yourselves the information and the support for you to be mobile. So you find in one easy location, namely the EURAXESS portal, the EURAXESS website, everything you need to know if you, for example, want to do your PhD anywhere in Europe. So it's a comprehensive toolkit that provides you information. It gives you a list of opportunities. It's also a great networking tool. And of course, it's a community. We currently have I think, about 50,000 individuals that are using that particular portal to also be in touch with each other. Now, information, I think, is key, especially if you are a researcher who is not in Europe at this point in time. It's always difficult to apply for an opportunity that is elsewhere and you don't have so much first-hand experience. So there's a whole lot of information about Europe. What kind of research is offered in your field? What type of funding is available? What preparations do you have to do if you want to move? But also what type of support is available. So all of this you find on this EURAXESS portal. And as I said at the beginning, this is not specific to one country. It is 43 European countries that are providing that particular information. Very interesting, I think, to many of you is the jobs and funding portal. Again, you find the opportunities of all these 43 European countries in one easily accessible location, which is the jobs and funding portal. You find scholarship opportunities, PhD opportunities, but also job openings, for example, in the private sector, if you're looking for a job with an industry partner after you've done your doctorate. You always have between 10 and 14,000 openings every day. So it's really a great tool. We also have a partnering tool, which is, again, very important for young researchers that may not have such an extensive network yet. And you can use it for all kinds of things. For example, if you would like to present at a conference and you would, for example, create a panel, you're looking for other researchers in your field that are working on the same topic, you could use this particular tool to identify researchers that are based anywhere else in the world. So it's a great opportunity alongside with our hosting database. We have a lot of funding programs in Europe where you, as the applicant, you need to find your host institution, which basically means your supervisor. Again, that's not easy if you're applying from Indonesia, for example. So the hosting database is an opportunity for you to find European supervisors that are actively looking to host someone. So rather than you having to do the homework yourself, you find a ready-made list of available opportunities. Career development is important. It doesn't matter how long you've been working, but I guess specifically for young researchers, taking charge of your career development is very important. And EURAXESS on the EURAXESS portal offers a lot of free tools that you can use at your own leisure to train yourself. There's a lot of free training resources. There are also a lot of online modules that you can sign up for to enhance your own career. And we have a mentoring program. There's a specific mentoring program for international researchers that are arriving in Europe. So, for example, you do find a PhD opening in Europe and you are successful in your application. Once you arrive in Europe, you could participate in this particular mentoring program, and you would be paired with a senior researcher who will take you under his or her wings and show you around, how can you adapt to the research environment in Europe? How can you maximize the benefits of your experience? So again, all of these opportunities are free of charge. EURAXESS, of course, is also present around the world, not just in Europe. This is why I'm working for the EURAXESS Worldwide project here in Southeast Asia and ASEAN. We have a community of about 28,000 individuals. And what we do is to organize information sessions such as the one today, for you to be informed about the opportunities that are available. But of course, we always like to hear from you, because you may have specific requests. For example, you want science communication training or you want proposal writing training, then we love to respond to that. So you can see here a list of the activities that we are organizing throughout the year. And this is us. I am based in Singapore. I have a colleague who is currently based in the Philippines, but we cover the entire ASEAN region, and we always love to hear from you. So even if after today's session you have some open questions, please do drop us an email. Now, as I said, today we're talking about a very specific opportunity, the opportunity to do a PhD that is funded under the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, or MSCA. Now, Europe is famous for all these acronyms, as is ASEAN actually. So I need to give you just a little bit of background context so you understand how does this fit, because this, of course, is by far not the only opportunity. MSCA is part of a very big program that is called Horizon Europe. Now, Horizon Europe is the EU's key funding program for research and innovation. This is a program that runs for a period of 7 years. It has a budget of just under 100 billion euros, and it is basically a program that Europe has put together to tackle climate change, to help achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goal, to boost the EU's competitiveness and growth. But of course, a lot of the goals that underline that particular program are very much in line with what international partners such as Indonesia are trying to achieve as well. Very important is the program very much facilitates international collaboration, and the whole program is open to the world. That means anyone from anywhere in the world can participate. Now, as I said, it's a huge program. Yeah, it's 100 billion euros that are spent on research, science and innovation. And you can see here just an overview of how this whole big thing is organized. We are looking at just one aspect of this big program, and that is the excellent science pillar, specifically the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions. What is important for you to know is that this is where you find opportunities for individual researchers. The rest of the program is very much for collaborative research. So you're already an established researcher, and your team, you are joining other research teams in Europe and you're applying for big grants. But the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, these are funds for individual researchers. And why is that? This program is very much focused on researchers training, skills, and career development. So it's very much focused on allowing individual researchers like yourselves to excel and to take the next step in your career development. Specifically, the MSCA Doctoral Networks, and we also have a postdoc fellowship, is for you to really move up in your career progression to perhaps become a principal investigator. It is a highly prestigious program. It really focuses on excellent research in all domains. So here's a specific nod to those of you that are from the social sciences and the humanities. This program applies to all scientific disciplines. It very much focuses on international, cross-sectoral, and interdisciplinary mobility. And mobility is key. Mobility means you are expected to move. So this is not a fellowship opportunity for you to stay in Indonesia. This is for you to go to Europe and have that doctoral experience in Europe. It offers very attractive working and employment conditions, and it's incredibly well funded. And there is, you can see already on the bottom right corner, strong collaboration with industry. So this idea of a multidisciplinary approach to your career development is what this program focuses on. And perhaps some of you are joining us and you might be at a different stage in your career right now. And as I already said, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions do not only focus on PhD opportunities, but there are also other fellowships, for example, for postdoctoral research or even for staff exchanges. But today we are focusing on the doctoral networks. Now, what are MSCA-funded doctoral networks? What makes them special is that they are interdisciplinary and international. These networks are not offered by an individual university, but it's a so-called consortium. So it's a number of partner organizations from different sectors, that could be universities, but also public and private research centers, companies and non-profit organizations that are putting together a PhD program. So each of them brings to the table something unique. And the idea is that you, as the PhD student, really get a multidisciplinary training. You really get exposed to different aspects of the particular subject that you are studying. It's an international PhD network with partners that are based in different countries. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from our fellows later on, because throughout your training, you're moving between different countries. And I think that's what makes this particularly exciting. And the program is really dedicated to training the PhD candidates to become leaders in their specific field. It's really a unique opportunity for you to get the best PhD training that is available. Now, you're probably wondering, where in Europe can I find these specific programs that you are talking about? And it really is a Europe-wide network. Now, we've already heard our colleagues today are joining us from France, from Hungary, and from Germany, but you find those MSCA doctoral networks in not just the 27 EU member states that you find on the left-hand side, but in these doctoral network consortia, there's also involvement of institutions that you find in the so-called associated countries on the right-hand side. Now, these are countries that are part of the Horizon Europe program. You remember what I said at the beginning, the big funding program. They're also paying money in that particular budget, so they are also beneficiaries. So in a nutshell, it's a huge opportunity for you to get a PhD education that takes you to any of these countries. How is this funded? And this is, I think, always very important for everybody to hear. This funding, as I said at the beginning, is open to PhD students, not only of all disciplines, but also of all nationalities for up to 4 years. It offers you a very generous living allowance. I think this number, we have to check back with the colleagues whether this is still applicable. Of course, it changes according to the rise in living expenses in Europe and in the country where you are based. It might be more or less depending on the living expenses where you are, but it is a very generous living allowance. You also get a mobility allowance of around 600 euros per month, and you also get a family allowance if you happen to have dependents such as a spouse, or maybe you already have children. Now, I'm sure you're very excited and you're wondering, how do you find these positions? Where are they? And you find them, and this circles back to the beginning of my presentation, you find them on the EURAXESS Jobs and Funding portal. There are thousands of opportunities that are listed on a daily basis. Here they are. And I want to emphasize these open PhD opportunities on these MSCA funded projects are advertised all year round. So there is no fixed deadline, but there are openings on a daily basis, perhaps not a daily basis, but a weekly basis. So it's important that you check the EURAXESS portal regularly. So don't get frustrated if you're looking today and there is nothing that fits your specific requirements. Maybe just check back in a week's time and you will find an opportunity. And I just took a quick look earlier today just to give you a rough idea of what's available. So these are the current, the top 10 opportunities that are available just as of today. So you can see Germany, computer science. There is an interesting project on music and sociology. I found that really interesting. There is, for example, computer science also in Sweden. There is engineering in Norway. So once again, just to summarize, this program offers opportunities in all scientific areas They're advertised all year around. So keep looking at the EURAXESS portal to find the offer that suits you best. How do you apply? I'm only going to say very little about this because I think our speakers are the experts on that. But in a nutshell, applying for these positions is pretty much like applying for particular job roles. So the doctoral network that is advertising these positions will be putting out specific requirements that the candidate has to fulfill. So you would apply according to these specific requirements that are set out by the doctoral network. But we can ask our fellows in a minute on their specific experience and their advice. Here are just some of the documents that you have to provide usually. It's really nothing out of the ordinary. You will have to provide proof that you are qualified to undertake a PhD, perhaps a transcript of your grades, a CV, a personal statement detailing why you're suitable for the project. I'd like to hear more from our colleagues, how they approach that particular. And sometimes, but not always, there's a requirement of a certificate of language proficiency. There's a lot of information available online. The Marie Curie Actions website is fantastic. You find a lot of information there. And as I said earlier, you can always contact us here at EURAXESS ASEAN if you have specific questions. Now, you can already start asking your questions in the Q&A box. We will get to this in a minute, but I would like to, first of all, introduce you to our testimonial speakers today. And our first speaker is Eristian. Eristian Wibisono is a third-year student in the International PhD program in Regional Development at the University of Pécs in Hungary. And he's also a research fellow in the Policies for Smart Specialization Consortium research project that is funded by the Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program. So he is a fellow of the previous cycle. He's also a civil servant at the Jambi, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Province Industry and Trade Office since 2011. He has a Bachelor's of Engineering from the Department of Chemical Engineering from Sriwijaya University and a Master of Economics from Jambi University in Regional Economics and Finance. Now, Eristian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Suzanne. So I will share my screen now. Can you see clearly in my voice?
Yes, we can, no problem.
Okay, so perfect. So good morning, everyone, and good afternoon in Indonesia. First of all, I would like to thank EURAXESS ASEAN and the European Union delegation to Indonesia for organizing this event and webinar and inviting me to share my experience. And I would also like to welcome the participant of the webinar, whether in Indonesia or anywhere else in the world. Thank you for your time to participate. I'm Eristian, a third-year student at the PhD program in regional development at the University of Pécs, Hungary, and also a Marie Curie Research Fellow at a Polish research program. I received my bachelor degree in chemical engineering from Sriwijaya University in South Sumatra, and my master degree in economics from Jambi University in the Jambi province. And currently, I am also a civil servant at the Department of Industry and Trade in Jambi provincial government. So in this presentation, I will share some information related to my experience as a student in the University of Pécs and also Marie Curie Fellow at the Polish project. And the project I'm working on, how I got this opportunity, the benefits I got from this project, and some tips for future MSCA applicants. So to this end, I will divide this presentation into 4 main sections. I'm enrolled as a PhD student in the Doctoral School of Regional Policy and Economics at the University of Page. The name of the program is International PhD Program in Regional Development. The University of Page, or PTE, was founded in 1367, so it's over 600 years ago, and is one of the oldest universities in Hungary and one of the oldest university in Eastern Europe. So regional economics program in our university is one of the highlights of the university, and not all the universities in Hungary have exactly the same program or expert in regional economics, regional geography, or regional policy. And like cities in other European countries, Peć is very beautiful city. It is the biggest city in Hungary. Peć is, we call it a university city, a UNESCO learning city, and also a cultural city. Apart from being a doctoral student at the university, my relationship with the university is an employee or research associate. This is because my funding comes from the Polish project, research and mobility project supported by the European Union through the ITN MSCA scheme. POLIS stands for Policies for Smart Specialization. Smart specialization is a research and innovation policy rooted in a place-based industrialization policy that aims to accelerate the economic transformation of the European Union member state. So POLIS is a consortium project consisting 7 universities from 7 countries, from United Kingdom, Netherlands, Italy, Spain, Hungary, Austria, and Norway. So, and also there are 14 non-academic support participants in this project. And we are in POLIS have 14 ESRs from the 7 universities in 7 countries. In the POLIS group, we have 3 ESRs from Asia, and I'm the only one from Southeast Asia and from Indonesia. And this project also maintains a balance of nationality and gender. So as you can see, the position is also open to all citizens from different parts of the world. And at the University of Page, we have 2 ESRs in the same program with me, in the PhD in regional development. And you can find the details of the project and our profile on the official POLIS website or our social media. And how my journey to the POLIS project. So my journey to this project might actually be a little different. At the end of 2019, I was introduced to a professor who is a top researcher in the field of regional economics, who I knew from Google Scholar. So I sent him an email and some documents, which many scholarship seekers often do to find a suitable professor for their research. At the time, he was willing to be my supervisor, because he was interested in my research proposal. He then advised me to apply to the university through a Hungarian government scholarship program. And I participated in the scholarship selection process, which started in January 2020. And in the end, I also received this scholarship. But in March 2020, my professor offered me another opportunity. So it was a PhD position for the POLIS project, which is part of Marie Curie PhD research program. And he will be the project leader on one of the 14 POLIS research topics. He needed a student with special qualification to fill this position, but it required a formal selection process from scratch. So although I had already applied for this PhD program to Hungarian government scholarship, I had to apply for this position through a different pathway, although some of the documents remain the same. So the MSCA admission procedures follow the standard procedure of applying universities, and every university may be different, of course. What made the application for POLIS is different was that the research topic in this project was already prepared. So we will write the research proposal based on this topic, but it really depends on the supervisor or project leader, whether they need a proposal at that time, or you can develop the proposal after you are joined into the project. The policy project focus on solving problem in the European Union and the world. So basically the consortium university are only looking for candidates who fit their qualification, and research proposal will be developed during this project. During the interviews, we discuss more about how we will work together to this research in the next 3 years, whether I have enough qualification to do this research, whether I have enough resources to do this project, along with the standard PhD structure at the university. And finally, in the June 2020, I received one of the best email of my life. I got the PhD position and started my contract as a Marie Curie researcher and PhD student at the university in September 2020. The policy project or any project, any other project at MSCA has a training structure that is slightly different from the university course structure. My PhD research and course structure follows the formal rules of the University of Page, and ESR at the other university also follow the formal rules of the PhD school at their house institution. But what makes Poly special is that there are mandatory courses for all ESRs, called core content courses and method courses. If these courses are included in our course structure, they will be counted as a part of this project. But if there are courses that are not available at our university, then we must take them from other university in Polish consortium. So for example, in the second semester of the 2021, I took 2 courses from 2 different universities, Bocconi universities in Milan, Italy, and the University of Stavanger in Norway. But unfortunately, because the COVID situation at the time, these courses were done online for 1 semester. And ESR from other consortium member also took courses at our university because they were not available at their campus. So this is an in the right side. This is an overview of training program at Polis. So for 3 years we have been doing all these activities at Polis, and this is a separate from the other activities that we have to do as a doctoral student at our doctoral school in the university. We have attended 3 summer school and 2 winter school alternately at the Polish consortium universities, and so far I have attended 2 international conferences with experts in regional economics, regional policy, economic geography from all over the world. And I still have my future activities. I will do my 2nd month in London School of Economics in the UK. And also we still have 1 summer school in Valencia in Spain. The MSCA project they are therefore characterized by a high degree of mobility in terms of research and dissemination. We are encouraged to generate research and increase the impact of our work by disseminating the result of our work in the form of international publication and or international conferences. To date, I have produced several international publications in prestigious international journals. So basically in MSCA project, we will connect with leading researchers in our field and stay up to date on the latest research. We can conduct high quality research in this group, and we have great opportunities to publish in prestigious journal, international journal, and we can stand out as an international researcher. For the future applicants of the MSCA project, I would like to suggest 2 things. First one, prepare a good CV and a track record in your field of research. You can also start communicating with a professor or expert in the European Union in the same research field as you. And the second is start to searching for PhD opportunities. in Europe through the EURAXESS and get to know the university or contact person in the PhD vacancy announcement. On EURAXESS, you can customize what opportunities you want to look for. You should also be familiar with the enrollment procedures at the university you are interested in, as the recruitment process for MSCA PhD Fellows will follow standard university procedures. And keep up to date with information on the website or social media, like provided by EURAXESS ASEAN and MSCA in Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. Finally, I would like to close this presentation with a few relevant quotes. If you have a dream, you can spend a lifetime studying, planning, and preparing for it. But what you should be doing is getting started. And if you have a fear right now, just use your fear. It can take you to the place where you keep your courage. And if you are experiencing a lot of failure, then believe this, the failure is a success if you learn from it. You never know what luck you will get in the future, so you have to keep trying and never give up. So see you guys everywhere in Europe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eristian, for such an inspiring and very thoughtful presentation. And we keep getting a lot of questions, and you are already answering a lot of the questions that the colleagues are asking. As you said at the end, it's important that you make sure you have a polished CV. It's important that you take care of your skills development. It's important that you develop everything you can to make yourself a competitive candidate. And you already said you apply to this particular opportunity through a university standard application. So some of you were asking in the Q&A whether you apply through EURAXESS. No, you don't. EURAXESS provides the information. We provide you with the information about the opportunities that are available, and then you will have to look at the specifics of the specific program, and you apply through the respective online application form that the recruiting institution is providing. Now, Eristian, there is a few questions that are coming in. Specifically, someone is interested in your university in Hungary, and they are asking whether you would be available to just perhaps share your presentation.
Yes.
And your contact details. So thank you so much. I will make sure that all of you who are joining today will have access also to Eristian's presentation with his contact details. And I'm sure he will then also help you if you have a specific interest in perhaps being connected to his university in Hungary. Now, there's a question here from Evi Setiani Lande. She is asking, good morning, Eristian. I have a question regarding the selection process. Based on your experience, what kind of approach should we adopt regarding engaging the professor of the program? Is it enough to just ask about technical project requirements? What is your specific advice when you reach out to the project that you have in mind? You're trying to engage the professor and get him interested. What is your advice, Eristian?
So it is like, as I said in my presentation, it's like a different experience for me, because at the first time I contact my supervisor, I found the supervisor from the Google Scholar. It's almost 2 years I tried to find a supervisor, and finally I found my supervisor in Google Scholar, and I write him an email. I introduce myself with my personal research proposal. So I already have my personal research proposal. That's why a professor wants to willing be my supervisor, and he suggests me to join to the university through the Hungarian government scholarship. But in the process of selection process of the scholarship process, my professor also offered me another opportunities, which is MSCA PhD project. So basically, in the last year, my professor already have a communication with me. We talk each other about my project in my research proposal. But because in this police project, there is a specific project only for this police project. So I cannot use my research proposal, and we talk each other about this project. And he suggests me to open the leaflet about the PhD vacancy, and I also have to find about the platform of the EU about the smart specialization. And yeah, I also explore the vacancy from the EURAXESS, and who are the university will be join in this project. So it's many things that we already discussed with my supervisor. But the point is, try to engage your supervisor or potential supervisor with your perfect performance in your background. So that's why I said it's really important to have your CV, your extremely good CV. I can say like that. And also, if you have experience in publication, it will be advantageous for you. But if you don't have any publication, but you already have your thesis in your master degree, it's also will be really okay. So that's a really personal experience, and another colleague can have another experience as well.
Thank you so much. And we will get back to all of your questions in just a while. But let me invite first our second speaker. It is Innovasita Alif Dini. And she is joining us today from the Institute of Meteorology and Climate Research at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. She is a MSCA Doctoral Network Fellow in the EDP project, is always an acronym, to investigate the impacts and risks of windstorms over Europe in a changing climate. She holds a master's degree in science and technology from Hirosaki University in Japan, and she has a bachelor's degree from the Department of Oceanography at Universitas Diponegoro in Indonesia. Now, Innovasita, the floor is yours.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so okay.
Perfect.
Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Innovasita Alif Dini. You can call me Innovasita. Currently, I'm a PhD student at the Institute of Meteorology and Climate Research at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. I'm also early stage researcher 12 for EDP project. Today, I would like to share about my personal experience as a current MSCA PhD fellow. First of all, I will introduce you about my background. So currently, I work with PhD topic about changing cumulative risk from extreme windstorm in the changing climate over Europe under supervision from Professor Joaquim Pinto at KIT. About my background, I did my bachelor in oceanography at Universitas Diponegoro in Indonesia. And just after I graduate, I continued to work as a research assistant in the same department. And then I received an impact scholarship to study in Hirosaki University in Japan. I started as a research student for 6 months. Then I continued for 2 years master in the same university and in the same department. And currently, I'm a PhD student at KIT. Okay, first of all, I will introduce you about my PhD project, the MSCA PhD project called EDP. So EDP is a European Weather Extreme Drivers Predictability and Impacts. So we aim to further understanding of the weather extreme over Europe. There are 14 doctoral projects with 14 PhD students, and we are consist of some international consortium of universities, research centers, and also private companies. In ADP, I joined the ADP training events. First, the first and second training event was held in the Uppsala University in Sweden, and then the third training event was held in CNRS ENS in Paris, and the last training event was in the Royal Meteorological Institute in Brussels in Belgium. In addition, within the MSCA program, we have also international secondment, or we can say it's like a kind of a research stay abroad. For me, I did my first research stay at the insurance company at the Ion Impact Forecasting in Prague. And around end of this year, I will have my second research stay in the Stockholm University in Sweden. Okay, now we start a different topic about how to identify PhD program opportunity. First, we have to know what's our research background. So, what's your research background? And then after you understand what's your research background, then you can find some PhD opportunity, some PhD topic that's close to your master thesis. For example, last time my master thesis topic is about surface wind climate over maritime continent or Indonesia, and then I choose a PhD position in investigating the risk of windstorm over Europe. So it's still about wind, but in different region. And then additionally, if you have a publication, like you have a publication in journal or conference participation, actually it is not mandatory in MSCA PhD position, but it actually can support your application. How to approach the application? The first step is, of course, you need to find the PhD position. You can find it through some websites like from EURAXESS or from, for example, academic position. Also, you can find it through university and research institute websites. And the second step is you submit your application, usually by email or through university websites. And what documents do I submit it last time? The first, I submit a cover letter and then CV and graduation certificate and also the academic transcript. I also submitted my master thesis and contact details of 2 references and some supporting documents like our certificates, training, and etc. And the next step is interview. If your documents are successful, you will be invited to the interview. And the last step is you will be notified if your application is successful or unsuccessful. Okay, then am I good enough to apply MSCA PhD position? First, I suggest you to find a PhD position that is close to your background. And also you can consult your application with a previous MSCA PhD alumni. Like, for example, you already write like a motivation letter or cover letter, you can also consult it with the previous MSCA PhD alumni. And additionally, in Europe, it's a very popular about equality, diversity, and inclusion. For example, within the ADP project, we have 5 male students and 9 female students. And it comes from EU national 6 students and non-EU national is 8 students. So I think it's a big opportunity for Indonesian to apply to MSCA PhD position. And that's all my presentation. If you have any question, you can contact me by email, or you can also follow me in LinkedIn, ResearchGate, or in Facebook. Okay, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Innovasita. Now, of course, there are lots of questions. Also, of course, for our other fellows that are joining. Let's just maybe attend to 2 questions before we hear from our third fellow today. Now, there's a question here from Adianto Wibowo. He is asking, based on the experience of the selection process, when you are applying, is the consortium looking for someone who is already an expert in the specific field, or do you just need to have the potential to become an expert in the specific field? Innovasita, you already shared a little bit in your presentation, but maybe you can expand a bit on that.
Okay, so I think it's better to choose a PhD topic that's close to your previous background. So now I'm doing a PhD in meteorology, but actually I don't have a meteorology background, but I did my master to investigate research about wind, and now I'm still investigating about wind. So I think you don't need to be an expert because we are a PhD student. We still need to study more, but at least you have some understanding about some idea what PhD topic you are applying for. Yeah, you don't need to be expert. Yeah, because PhD student also we need to study more about the topic.
Thank you so much, Innovasita, because this question has come up a few times in different ways of phrasing. But of course, you need to have the academic credentials that allow you to read for a PhD in that specific discipline. So of course, you must have a master's qualification in a very closely related discipline, of course. So as Innovasita has said, you don't have to already be an expert, because then there's no need for you to do the PhD. But of course, you must have the necessary academic fundamental knowledge that allows you to become an expert in that field. Because someone mentioned they have a bachelor's degree in one field and a master's degree in a different field. Now, the master's degree should be the one where you base, you build on that as your basis, and then you obtain the doctoral qualification in that field. There's a question whether you need to have completed your master's degree. And I think the answer is you must have finished your master's degree by the application deadline. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure whether this was applicable to any of you. You already finished your master's when you applied, correct?
Yes, correct.
Exactly. So this is the bottom line. You must have completed your master's at the time. There might be some flexibility if it's just a matter of getting the certificate. That's not the question, but you must have finished your coursework, etc. You must have successfully completed the master's, and then you can apply. Maybe because before we continue to our last speaker, one more question. It comes from Didi Suvasti. Didi Suvasti is asking, he would like, or she, I guess it's a he, is asking, when it comes to constructing a strong CV, are there any points that are essential at a specific level in order to attract potential employers as a prepared document? Are there certain criteria for the level of publishing, for example? Is it a requirement that you have published in a Q1 Scopus index? So basically the question comes up again, do you already have to have publications under your belt? Or maybe, Innovasita, what's your advice? How do you build your strong CV, or how did you make sure that your CV looked really good?
My advice is if you write a CV, don't write the CV too long. 2 pages is the maximal. And in the first page, you can add your name, your contact, and in my case, like in the first page, I add a list of my publication and conference participation and some academic awards, because I think it can enhance my application. And I put other things like seminar or training participation in the second page. So I put the most important thing in the first page, and 2 pages is the maximum.
I think that is a very good point, because they are receiving a lot of applications, and it's important to put the most important information at the top, and then maybe that's not so relevant at the bottom. Yes, very good advice. And I think you don't necessarily need to have a publication. Of course, it's not going to be bad. It's not going to be detrimental to you, but don't get too worried. I think they're looking at to see whether your profile fits the particular position that you're advertising. So you might have other skills that someone else doesn't have. You might have already done field work in a specific field. You might have some form of work experience. So don't get too worried about it. But what Innovasita said, very good, be brief and make sure that your good points are very prominently displayed in your CV. Now, before we continue with our Q&A, let us invite our third speaker. It is Setiawan. He is part of the Marie Curie project S2S Future at the University of Rennes in France, where he's working on the source to sink system of the Nile since 70 MA. I have to be honest, I have no idea what that means. This is why Iwan is here now to fill us in himself. Iwan, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Susan. Thank you very much for everyone for attending this session. And then I would like to share my screen. I hope you can see. I will just view it in slideshow.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity. So today I would like to share about my experience doing MSCA doctoral degree. So now it's I am in my in the beginning of my third year, and then I maybe go straight to the background. So I my background, I studied my bachelor degree in geology in the Institute of Technology of Bandung in Indonesia. I studied more in the general geology because it was bachelor degree, so I did field work. And then I took my master degree in Italy in University of Perugia. So back then I was focusing more into petroleum geology, and then currently I am in Rennes now in the University of Rennes, working on this topic, metal dynamics and very long wavelength deformations and large rivers source to sink system, the case example of Africa in the Nile. So basically, I work mainly on the geomorphology, sedimentology, and also doing numerical modeling. So what's good in my project is that I have collaboration with another institute. So this is also part of the Marie Curie rules that we need to collaborate. So this is something that is obligatory for all of us. And then I am lucky enough to have a collaboration with a German research institute where I do the modeling part. And then goes next. Yeah, so I would like to present you about my project that I am in at the moment. So this project is called S2S Future. So we focus on signal propagation from source to sink for the future of Earth resources and energy. And then we are mainly sedimentologists, geomorphologists, and also we have some people who is working in the current settings like the management of rivers with the dams, and then also the effect of river evolution to human society, to the human civilization. And then I think that's really entertaining because we are 15 PhD students, and then we work in somehow different topics, but still keep in one thread, so kind of like connected to each other. And then when we have a time to be together, we can like have a discussion on how to like collaborate and how to like integrate our studies so that we can ignite more science from our project. And then I think the important part that Susan also mentioned, and then the rest of the speakers have mentioned before, we are international network. So from this project, from my project, we have 15 PhD students with 9 nationalities spread across Europe, in France, Germany, UK, Spain, Switzerland, Norway, and Netherlands. And then we have 10 university partners. We also have additional 11 partner organizations, which consist of academia and also industry, like some companies. And then, yeah, we really highlight the collaboration among beneficiaries. So this is really cool, I think, about the Marie Curie doctoral position. And then here are all the beneficiaries. We have universities, we have partners from industry, and then I would like to highlight maybe only one important rule in the Marie Curie application is the mobility rule. So, for example, you cannot you cannot stay in the country that you are applying to for more than a year in the last 2 years. So, for example, in my case, I studied my master in Italy, so I cannot apply any position for Marie Curie in Italy. So I have to move. To other countries. And then the requirements basically are just basic PhD requirement in Europe generally. So you are required to send your CV, cover letter, and then your degree certificate. And then I think this is the point that you have to highlight maybe in CV and cover letter, especially in cover letter. I think you should mention your background and then how your previous studies or research could help you in working in the position that you applied for, so that it can, you know, convince the supervisors to recruit you. And then I would like also to highlight what Innovasita has been said before, that it doesn't really matter in a way that your study like exactly the same thing of what you are going to apply, because basically in PhD you are obliged to study again, like you need to do something, you know, you still need to be trained. So basically you don't have to be expert. So basically, like, for example, in my project, like I need to do like numerical modeling, but I really didn't have any previous experience. But then my supervisors during interview, like he really encouraged me. No, it's okay. You don't have to be expert. I mean, you are here to be trained. So I would be happy to train you. So I mean, as long as you have the mentality that you would like to learn something new, I think it's not going to be a problem if your subject doesn't really like parallel in the from the master and then to your PhD, like, yeah. And then I think what you need to keep in mind is that you need to check EURAXESS website regularly, because I think Susan has mentioned before that, yeah, maybe weekly, because something new will come up like in the website. And then I think the thing is that somehow you need to like make sorting filtered by this research program. You put Marie Curie actions, and then in the research field you put your research field. But then I think one of the uncertainties is that even though you found something within your domain, it doesn't necessarily like the specific domain that you would like to apply for. So then just check it regularly. And then basically they will put the description and also the requirements. And then the majority of them, I think they will ask you to send your documents to by email rather than, yeah. So then, yeah, just check and then read thoroughly, and then, yeah, basically they will explain you everything that you need to do in the job postings. And then I would like to mention that in the Marie Curie project, I think we are obliged to like present our project in a yearly basis in front of the PIs, principal investigators that are within the projects, like they are coming from other beneficiaries in the university industry. They will come like once in a year, like in my case, and then we are obliged to present the progress of our project, so that they can know our advancement, and then what they can give also like feedbacks on what you should do, what you should not do, and also like scientific feedbacks on your research. So I think it's quite interesting. Yeah, this is like interesting event to like have many ideas from different people, and then to see what fits to your science or not. And then later on, I think that one of the coolest thing in my project, basically because we are geoscientists, so our laboratory is in the nature, and then every once in a year we will have a summer school which take place in exotic places in a very beautiful like landscape in across Europe at the moment. So the first year in 2021, we went to Pyrenees in Spain, look at this outcrop, like magnific outcrops, and then here they are in Zumaya in Basque countries. So this is really cool, even though this is not exactly related to what my project is, but because in the Marie Curie we are obliged to be trained, so this is part of the training, and then all of us have the same training, and then even though you don't really know what you are looking for, we will be explained about all this stuff, and then because we are 15 students with different topics, and then each of us can share your knowledge about the things that you see. And then still in the Pyrenees, we have discussion in the field with the PIs, so this is really great. And then the second one, we have a summer school in Norway and Switzerland, which took place just last year in 2022. So at this moment, we were looking at the glaciers. And then not only that, in the field, we also, like I said before, we have partner from industry. So we have industrial visits to their laboratories. In this case, we were looking at the cores, and then we had training on the softwares that they are using in the industry by our industrial partners. And then not only scientific training, but we also have soft skill trainings. In this case, we were trained to in the topic of business and then social media marketing. So I mean, this is really cool that you have both sides of the hard skills and soft skills training. And yeah, basically that's my presentation. So thank you very much, and any questions are welcome.
Thank you so much, Iwan, also for this really inspiring presentation. And I think all of you have shown what a unique program this is because of the exposure that you get. And you were emphasizing specifically the multidisciplinary aspect of it. So you kind of move out of your comfort zone. You hear what your peers are doing. And I think we've seen from all of your three networks that you are part of, the opportunity also for you to network for your future career opportunities. So you're not just within one institution in one country, but you really kind of interact with a lot of different players. So it's, I guess, also great for you to, start looking around what you're doing after your PhD. So fantastic. Thank you so much. We've heard from Iwan already. He was saying that every year, I think you have to always show to the consortium what you're doing, how you're progressing. There are a lot of other questions, and maybe Iwan, there's one that's asking us, I think, from an anonymous attendee who is asking, is there a specific number of publications, articles, for example, that you need to produce by the end of your PhD program? What else is expected of you besides your thesis, of course?
Yeah, so I think it depends first on your institute. For example, like in France, to graduate as a PhD, you need to publish at least one paper as a first author. But in the Marie Curie, you are also encouraged to like collaborate with the rest of with the other ES or with the other PhD students. So I think in total it's like 3 papers, but it's not really like, strictly because the thing about publishing paper is that when you submit it, you are not in control of it. Like it depends on the reviewer, and then how do they find the reviewers, and how the reviewing process will go on. You know, like it can take time, but I think the most important part is your institute first. They have specific rule for you to graduate. So each institute may have, you know, their own rules. And then in the Marie Curie, in my project, at least we are encouraged to publish at least 3 papers.
Thank you so much. And one more question specifically perhaps for you. It comes from Vina Panduvinata. She's asking, how did you adapt to the research culture? How did you adapt to kind of different ways of presenting, for example? How did you approach this particular challenge?
Oh yeah, I think in general, PhD is, in the beginning, I think it's difficult in a way that for me, I think it was difficult mentally and also like scientifically, because I did something that is not, it's something new for me. Like it's something that not really related to my master project, but then like we have been mentioning like many times that this is training opportunities for you, so you need to do something new, and then your supervisor will be happy to like help you to like teach you how to do it and stuff. I think in the beginning it's going to be really hard, but once you settle down, I think you can really enjoy what you are doing, especially if you like science. And then with Marie Curie, this is really like breaking the stigma, breaking the stereotype of like doing PhD, like basically financially you are secured, so you don't have to think too much about financial stuff, and then you just do your work, your science, and then the rest you just enjoy the program. So I mean, I think with Marie Curie it's a really great opportunity, and then it's difficult, but at the end, once you settle down, I think it's gonna be a nice experience.
Now, thank you so much. Now we have a lot of questions, and maybe Iwan, if you stop sharing, then we can perhaps attend to all the questions that are coming in. So thank you everyone for sending us your questions in the Q&A box. We have a good 20 minutes to go through them. Maybe I'll send the first question to Eristian, but the others can come in, of course. There's a question from Shandika, and she's asking, she's very curious on how to prepare for the interview. So she is wondering how you prepared for the interview, and what kind of questions one can expect during an MSCA interview. Eristian.
Yes, because in my side, I have a specific experiences in my case, because my application in the University of PhD is the second application, because the first one is application for another scholarship, but because the consortium committee in the university already know about me, and we discuss about my personal research. So in the Polish project research, because this project is a particular project that I really don't know about the specific project, but we in the interview process, we only discuss about the qualification, about my methodological skill, about my research background, about my master thesis, and the previous background. So in our interview, it only really related to the specific this Polish project. So I also not the interviewer asked me about who am I and what can I do for the project, but I also can ask about how I can involve well in this project. What is the project really needed for the PhD for the candidate? So it's feel like a two-side discussion in the interview process. But the important things I want to suggest that the connection or the communication with the professor, even in your application, in your MSCA project, or before the application, is really important. So that's why I said in my presentation, if you already know about the vacancy of the MSCA position, you can encourage or engage to the university website or the project leader in the project. So before you apply for the MSCA project, you can previously discuss about the detail of the project before you apply. So it's really important that that when you apply for the project, you are really in a good position, or in a good project, in a group preparation, I think. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Maybe Iwan, you want to also add your experience, because the question was also specifically addressed to you by Shantika.
Sorry, I think for the interview, I think based on my experience, because when I did the interview that I got it in RAN, I did also several interviews before, one within the project and then the other from other PhD program. But I think I can give you an insight that basically you can expect the questions. So I was really prepared. So I prepared a lot before doing the interview, and then after the interview, I was like surprised with myself, because I think I did great, and then yes, they took me. So basically you can expect that first you explain your background, and then the second one you explain a bit about your previous research, which is your master research, and then you expect you explain about what you can bring into the table for the project. And then if you didn't have the qualification, you can kind of like make a way around it, like yeah, I haven't done this, but I did blah 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 blah, which may be relevant to the project. And then afterwards you can expect the questions like yeah, basically the question about how are you going to apply your knowledge in the project, and then what are you going to expect, and then basically that's the question. So basically related on your research, and then even though you didn't have the qualification, you just make a way around it. You say you haven't done this, but you did the other things that may relevant to this project, and then just be confident, because basically they would like to know you as a person, and then as a scientist, they are not there to judge you or whatever. So just don't be afraid, and then just be confident of your qualification, because you are already like this far away. So I mean, keep going on.
Thank you so much. Now there's one question, I'll probably answer that myself. It's from Talbani Falian, and it's asking, is there a specific age limitation for the MSCA PhD program? And there is no age limit. The candidates must have the credentials to be eligible to read for PhD. As we said earlier on, you must have a master's degree in a closely related discipline. And as Iwan has said so clearly also in his presentation, there is the mobility rule that applies. So you must not have resided in the country where you're hoping to do the PhD, where the main institution is, for more than 12 months in the past 3 years. So if you're in Indonesia for the past 12 months, this shouldn't concern you too much. But if you, for example, have done your master's already in Europe and you've just come back, then you need to look at this a little bit more closely. And there was a similar question. Someone was asking if there is an opportunity to do a double degree and to stay in Indonesia. This is not possible. These opportunities are in Europe, but there are, in fact, double degree programs. Some of these MSCA doctoral networks offer double degrees, so you then obtain a doctorate from 2 different universities. So you should look at the EURAXESS portal and see which of these opportunities are most interesting to you. Now let us look here at some of the other questions that have come in. There's one from Vina again, and she's asking you, Innovasita, she would like to know what was the biggest challenge that you have encountered, and how did you solve that challenge?
Do you mean the challenge during my PhD, or?
I think she's asking, yes, during the PhD, but perhaps also during the application, but I think more during the PhD.
Okay. Yeah, actually, yeah, I am doing my PhD topic like it's related to my previous master thesis, but not exactly the same. So like in Germany here, like I must use the supercomputer that I haven't used before to manage a very big data. So yeah, but the colleague here is very kind. So I got training from them, also from the ADP program. So yeah, many people will help you. Yeah, and yeah, if you don't know something, do not stop to learn. So just asking your colleagues or your friends in the institute, so they will help you.
Yes, thank you so much. I think so too. There's a lot of support that's available. And as we've heard, it's a very international program. So it's not as though you are the only person that's not from Europe and you have, difficulties adjusting, but everybody is from somewhere else. And we've heard from you, you have attachments in different countries and different sectors. So you constantly, of course, are exposed to new experiences, but you're always surrounded, I think, by your peers, and they're just going through the same process. And I have to say, my experience also is that the alumni association, so all of you, all the fellows, are extremely generous when it comes to sharing advice and offering support. So everybody who is joining today, just please do not hesitate and reach out to them, perhaps via us here at EURAXESS ASEAN, and I'm sure they'd be delighted to give you more advice and to help you with your application. I have a question from Friendly Wehan To, and I think Friendly has emailed us before. Now, he, I think, has applied a few times before and hasn't been successful. So maybe from the three of you, what do you think is the key feature to succeed? I know this is not easy to say, but if you were to say, okay, in hindsight, this was the one thing that I did right, and this is why I was successful. Maybe Iwan, we start with you. What would be your advice to Friendly, how he can be successful with the next application?
Yeah, first, I think make sure that you apply in something that interests you and then within your scope of research, in a way that it doesn't really need to be like exactly the same parallel, but there is still a connecting thread between your previous project with the one that you are applying for. So you will make the cut for the CVs and cover letters. I mean, the documents cut, I mean, you will pass it. And then once you go into interview, I think the only key that I can give you is that just practice a lot. I mean, you create your own scenario, that the thing that you would like to say during that time, practice, and then expect some of questions that can come up, and then yeah, so that you can be prepared. Like once they ask you something, it is already like in your head, like you don't have like to think or just like mumbling too much. And then relax, confidence, and then I think that's all.
Thank you so much. Eristian, what is your key advice?
Yeah, I really agree with Iwan's statement, because it's really important to make you convenience with yourself. But you have to really consider about the specific requirement on the vacancy position. So, for example, if you explore, or if you search from the EURAXESS, you will find like a specific statement or specific sentences from the advertisement that that the university or the consortium really need from the candidates. In my case, I don't have any experience with the smart specialization program, but because I encourage, or I approach the project leader with the interesting things from my side, and I said I really want to join this project. How I can start to involve the application, what you really need from the candidates. It's really important that you really consider it. And then the background is also important. How you can show the interesting of you in your application. Don't like Innovasita said, don't do long CV, or motivation letter, but not to sort a CV. But you have to catch the interesting for the interviewer or the committee of the application, that you show that you really need this position, and how you can show about yourself in your application. So that's from my side.
Thank you so much. I think this is very good advice. You have to make sure that the recruiter sees that you are really applying for that specific position. So it's not a situation where you write a standard motivation letter and you just send it out to as many opportunities as possible, but you have to, as you said, Eristian, read very carefully what they're looking for, and then tailor your application, your motivation letter, and of course also your CV to fit that specific position, so that they can see immediately this is the right person for that particular position. I think this is very good advice. Innovasita, what would you like to say?
Yeah, when you submitting documents, like prepare well. I mean, you must know why the professor should choose you, should invite you to the interview. You must highlight what's your publication. For example, if you have what's the awards, academic award you got before, so you make sure that first, and then you submit the documents. And during the interview, please understand what's the PhD topic it's about. You don't need to understand everything, but maybe they will ask you about academic theory. Also, in my case, like the professor sent me an academic paper that is related to the PhD topic, and I must present it, and they want to know how far my understand to the PhD topic. So yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you very much. I think all of this is really, really good advice. And I think in a nutshell, you have to do a little bit of legwork. Yeah, it's really up to you to make sure you find the position that suits your background best. You must have already some academic knowledge in the area that you want to do the PhD in. And you need to make sure that you very carefully study the description of the position that is advertised and what the particular host is looking for, and then make sure that you prepare your own papers accordingly. There are a lot of questions here in the Q&A on the opportunity to bring along your family members. I'm not sure whether it applies to any of you, but as we've said, there is a particular family allowance. I have to add, though, this is only a one-time. So if you have several children, you only get the family allowance for one child. So it's a bit of a funny situation. You have to choose your priority child, I guess. But when it comes to bringing along a spouse, for example, this is what we have, the EURAXESS service centers, who would help you, for example, with the immigration procedures. They would help you with the visa application, for example, to bring along a dependent that you may have. So don't worry about this too much. Someone is asking very specific questions of rental prices, etc. These I can't answer at this particular point in time, but just in a nutshell, you will have sufficient funds to make sure that you can live comfortably. And there is, of course, support in the institution where you'll be going to, who will help you with finding accommodation. I'm not sure whether one of you wants to say something about the social aspect, how you found, for example, your place to live. I'm not sure. Any of you who has a story to share?
Yeah, I think there's no really a big problem for accommodation. Also, how you can get your family in this country. So, because from Marie Curie also cover everything for financial coverage, and then it's really, and it is already fit with the living allowance in the country where you will live in. So everything will be okay with the financial coverage. So don't worry about that.
Thank you so much. So we've heard that as well. And I'd like to thank all of you. Just to remind you, I will be sharing the presentation slides, and the presentation slides are all hyperlinked. And I think the key for you after today's presentation is to perhaps look at the funding portal. I wanted to quickly share this with you because I've seen someone was asking in Bahasa, and I was using Google Translate to understand what it meant. This is the EURAXESS portal, and here are the jobs and funding. You look at find jobs, and I don't know, for whatever reason, this is always very slow when I do this. And it doesn't work right now. Oh, it does. There you go. And you are looking for particular European funding program. And what you're looking for are the Horizon Europe. It's abbreviated HE. Here we go, MSCA. You can also click on co-fund. I'm not going to explain at this point in time what that means. And the researcher profile, someone wasn't sure what that means. As a potential PhD candidate, you are an R1 profile researcher. So if you then do this particular, if you narrow this down and then you then click on search, then it will give you all the current opportunities that fit your profile. So these will be all the MSCA funded PhD opportunities across Europe. So again, this is part of the slides that I presented earlier on. It's hyperlinked, and please do make sure, as we've heard from all the fellows today as well, you look at this regularly because new opportunities come up. And some of you had very specific questions, your profile. I can just tell you, yes, there are all academic and scientific disciplines covered, and I'm sure there is something there for everyone. I would like to encourage all of you to email us also. There was a suggestion that maybe we could stay in touch, and there are perhaps some of you that would like to help each other in drafting an application. I'd be very happy for us here at EURAXESS ASEAN to support you in that endeavor. If you're interested, just send us an email at asean@euraxess.net. Again, it's in the slides, and we can perhaps organize something with some of the fellows that may give you some more in detail advice on your CV perhaps, or your motivation letter. So that's definitely something we can do for you. I think that's it for today. I'd like to thank our three speakers. Thank you so much. Your insight is always the absolute best. Really fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for joining us today. And I do hope many of you will make use of this opportunity and you're off to Europe in the near future. So thank you so much. Terima kasih, and see you all very soon.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.